Welcome to the Duck Dive. We're here to pull out the key insights from a whole stack of sources, basically giving you a shortcut to getting informed. Today, we're really digging into a health issue that honestly affects millions, especially folks over 60. Joint pain. But what if I told you some really common foods, maybe even daily habits you have, are secretly fueling painful gout attacks, and maybe even leading to serious health issues you're not even thinking about?
That's exactly right. Our mission today in this deep dive is to explore how our understanding of gout has, changed quite a bit. We'll be looking at recent medical research, some hot off the press from 2024, to really pinpoint specific foods and habits, the ones that speed up the creation of those nasty uric acid crystals. And this is critical. We'll uncover some pretty significant, often silent complications, things many people just don't connect back to gout. The goal, to arm you with knowledge so you can better protect yourself.
Absolutely. Think of it as a focused look. It's a really common health problem, especially for seniors. And you might be surprised, some of those things you thought were healthy eating, they might actually be working against you when it comes to gout. Okay, quick disclaimer, but it's essential. Always talk to your doctor or healthcare provider before making big health changes, especially if you've got existing conditions.
Yes, definitely. We want to empower you with information, but this doesn't replace professional medical advice. Not at all.
Right. So let's unpack this. We're going to talk about how everyday foods and routines can have a huge effect, not just on joints, but surprisingly on organs like your kidneys and your heart. Okay, so for ages, gout was kind of seen as, the rich man's disease, tied mostly to purine-rich foods. But things have really shifted, haven't they? It's a much bigger picture now.
Oh, absolutely. Take Margaret, for example. She's a 67-year-old retired teacher. Her story really shows this shift. She'd had her third really bad gout attack in just 6 months, each one worse than the last. And she was just baffled. She said, I thought I was eating healthy salmon twice a week, orange juice every morning, whole grain bread. How is this happening? And her story isn't unusual. It really reflects how lots of seniors might, without knowing it, be making things worse for themselves.
That's such a key point, isn't it? The way we look at gout now isn't just avoid these few foods. It's about understanding a whole complex metabolic thing going on.
Exactly. And what's really interesting from recent research, including, findings from places like the National Center for Biotechnology information, is that almost 2/3 of the purines causing those attacks actually come from inside your own body, not just from food. But, and this is the crucial part, certain foods act like, accelerators, like gasoline on a fire. They seriously ramp up the production and buildup of those uric acid crystals.
Okay, so if some foods are accelerators, what are the big dietary culprits we need to watch out for?
Well, first up, organ meats. If you eat liver, kidney, sweetbreads, things like that, you need to know they have incredibly high purine levels. We're talking 400 to maybe 1,000 milligrams in just one serving. Astronomical. Your liver processes these super fast, turns them into uric acid, and bam, your blood levels can shoot right up.
Wow, that's a huge amount. Okay, what about seafood? People often think fish is healthy. Is that always true for gout?
Yeah, this is an important one to clarify. Lots of fish are great for heart health, definitely. But not all seafood is a good idea if you're prone to gout. The really high purine ones, anchovies, sardines, mackerel, and shellfish like mussels and scallops. But here's what the 2024 research is highlighting, and this is key. Even fish we think of as moderate purine, like salmon and tuna, can still trigger attacks, especially when you combine them with other risk factors common in seniors, like, say, kidneys not working quite as well, or interactions with medications. It's more nuanced than we thought.
Right, that interaction piece is huge. Okay,
Yeah.
And speaking of things that mess with the body's processes, alcohol, especially beer. Let's talk about that.
Alcohol, yeah, and beer in particular, it's kind of a double whammy for gout. It doesn't just have purines itself, it also messes up your body's ability to get rid of uric acid. So your liver has to deal with the alcohol first. It prioritizes it. So uric acid gets backed up, creates a sort of metabolic traffic jam. And on top of that, alcohol speeds up the breakdown of something called ATP, your cell's energy source. Breaking down ATP creates more purine. So yeah, double attack.
A double attack. That really paints a picture. Okay, and metabolically challenging fructose. That seems to be a big player too, doesn't it? The sugar.
Fructose, yes. It's in fruit juices, sodas, tons of processed foods. And it can be really tough metabolically for people with gout. When your body processes fructose, it burns through that cellular energy, ATP, really fast. And that breakdown process, it leads directly to more purines and then more uric acid. There was a study showing a 74% higher risk of gout just from having one sugary drink a day. And the thing is, many seniors drink multiple servings of fructose daily without realizing it, often through juices they think are healthy.
So it's not just about eating purines directly, but how foods make your body produce more, which kind of brings us to the whole modern Western diet thing, right?
Exactly, that typical Western diet, lots of red meat, processed stuff, refined sugars, not enough fiber. It does more than just add potential triggers. It can actually mess with your gut microbiome, the good bacteria in your gut. Some of those bacteria actually help get rid of uric acid. So that kind of diet can reduce those helpful bacteria, creating a less supportive environment for managing uric acid overall.
Okay, so diet is clearly huge. But what about just daily life? Habits. You mentioned things we do every day can up the risk, even if we're trying to eat okay.
That's right. Like take intermittent fasting or crash dieting. People might do it for weight loss or health. But losing weight really fast can actually flood your system with uric acid. When your body breaks down its own tissues, like proteins, it releases uric acid. So someone trying to drop weight quickly might accidentally trigger a really nasty gout attack.
Wow, that's definitely one people might not expect. And something basic, like just drinking water.
Hydration.
Dehydration. Huge factor. As we get older, sometimes our sense of thirst isn't as sharp. So a lot of seniors might be walking around mildly dehydrated and not even know it. When you're dehydrated, your urine gets more concentrated. That makes it harder for your kidneys to flush out the uric acid efficiently.
And for older adults often taking multiple medications, that adds another layer of complexity, doesn't it? Oh, absolutely. It can be a real minefield sometimes. Certain common meds for seniors, some diuretics, low-dose aspirins, even specific blood pressure drugs, they can actually raise uric acid levels. So if you're managing several health issues, taking a few different prescriptions, it can create this kind of perfect storm for uric acid to build up. And all these factors, diet, habits, meds, they aren't just causing those awful painful attacks, they could be setting the stage for much more serious long-term health problems down the road.
Yeah, it's really clear these seemingly small choices can have massive ripple effects. And what worries me is what you said about silent damage, the stuff happening between attacks.
Yes, and this is something I really want everyone listening to understand. It's crucial. Doctors often, understandably, focus on treating the acute attack, the immediate pain. But there's significant progressive damage that can be happening silently between those flares. And recent medical research, including some really important stuff from 2024, is shining a spotlight on serious complications, things that might be developing in your body right now, completely unnoticed.
Okay, let's start with the kidneys. How exactly does gout hammer the kidneys?
Well, your kidneys are ground zero for processing uric acid, right? So chronic gout puts a huge strain on them. As those uric acid crystals build up, they can actually damage the tiny filters inside your kidneys. This makes it harder for them to remove uric acid from your blood, and that can create this vicious cycle. The worse the kidney function gets, the more uric acid builds up, which further damages the kidneys.
And the long-term picture for kidney health if gout isn't managed.
It's not great. A major 2024 study showed that people with gout have a significantly higher risk of developing chronic kidney disease. In fact, those with poorly managed gout were found to be 3 times more likely to eventually need kidney replacement therapy. Dialysis, basically. And the scary part, kidney damage often happens silently. You might feel perfectly fine until your kidneys are functioning at less than, say, 25% capacity. By then, a lot of damage can be permanent.
3 times more likely. Wow. Okay, so it's not just joints, it's vital organs. What about the heart? Is there a connection there too?
Yes, and this is a connection that really needs more attention. Gout significantly increases your risk for cardiovascular events, like heart attacks and strokes. What the research is showing now is that the chronic inflammation from gout doesn't just stay in the joints, it travels through your bloodstream, and it can affect your heart and your blood vessels. Those inflammatory chemicals released during attacks can contribute to inflammation in your arteries, making plaque buildup and blockages more likely.
Is there solid data backing that up?
Absolutely. Another big 2024 study, this one looked at over 100,000 people. It found individuals with gout had a 42% higher risk of heart attack and a 58% higher risk of stroke compared to people without gout. And what's really telling is that this increased risk is there even between attacks. It suggests an ongoing continuous hit to cardiovascular health. Remember Margaret, the teacher. While her main worry was joint pain, deeper tests actually showed she had higher levels of inflammatory markers in her blood and some early signs of plaque in her arteries. It hinted at this wider impact.
That is a really significant finding. Okay, and then there are those physical signs, the lumps people can get. TOFI, yes. They're a very distinct complication of chronic often untreated gout. Basically, they're deposits of uric acid crystals that form these chalky lumps under the skin, often around joints, sometimes even in ears. They're not just ugly, they represent ongoing joint damage. They can get pretty big, sometimes described as like golf ball sized. They can even break through the skin, creating wounds that are hard to heal. And they can start forming surprisingly early, sometimes within the first year of having gout. They can really destroy joint function and limit mobility over time.
Yeah, the thought of those actually destroying joints and limiting movement, that really brings home the long-term danger. What about links to other big chronic diseases like diabetes? Yeah, there's a definite link between gout and diabetes, and it can really speed up overall health decline. High uric acid levels seem to interfere with how your insulin works. It can contribute to insulin resistance. So not only does it increase your risk of developing type 2 diabetes, but if you already have diabetes, high uric acid can make it harder to manage your blood sugar.
And it sounds like that connection might even spread wider.
It does, yeah. It often leads into what we call metabolic syndrome. It's a cluster of issues. High blood pressure, unhealthy cholesterol, extra belly fat, high blood sugar. People with gout are much more likely to develop this cluster. And there was a recent comprehensive study. It found that people who had both gout and metabolic syndrome had a mortality risk of dying that was 67% higher than people with neither. That combination is really tough on overall health and longevity.
Wow. And we're talking physical health, but what about the mental side? The emotional toll?
Oh, this is so often overlooked, but it's huge. Living with that kind of unpredictable, intense pain. It really takes a toll psychologically. Research shows chronic gout sufferers have rates of depression and anxiety that are 2 to 3 times higher than average, just constantly worrying, when's the next attack going to hit? That creates chronic stress. And stress itself can worsen inflammation and make attacks more frequent. It's another vicious cycle. And many people, especially seniors, might start avoiding social situations, afraid of having an attack in public. That isolation isn't good either. It's been linked to faster cognitive decline and even a higher risk of dementia.
It really sounds like everything's tangled together. And getting older, that just throws another factor into the mix, right?
It absolutely does. Age can definitely act as an accelerant here. Kidney function naturally tends to decline a bit as we age, making it harder to clear uric acid. Liver function might become less efficient too. The immune system can sometimes become more prone to low-grade chronic inflammation, potentially making attacks feel worse or last longer. But the really tricky part for seniors is often polypharmacy, taking multiple medications for different conditions. The potential for drug interactions that raise uric acid is much higher. I've seen cases really where someone starts a new blood pressure pill, and within weeks their uric acid doubles, triggering this whole cascade of problems they just didn't see coming.
This has been incredibly eye-opening, just how complex gout really is. But you did mention there's hope and real steps people can take. So what about those everyday habits, the surprising ones that might be fueling the fire? And how do we fix them?
Yes, absolutely. There is tremendous hope. Your body wants to heal. It has an amazing capacity for it. Let's look at some common habits. Take that morning ritual. So many people start their day with a big glass of orange juice, right? Thinking, great, vitamin C. But that single glass, seemingly harmless, can pack 24 to 36 grams of fructose. And fructose, as a sugar type, can be particularly bad news for gout.
So it's not just the obvious sodas, but fruit juice because of that fructose load.
Exactly. Fructose makes your body burn through cellular energy, ATP, really fast, the breakdown products, purines. Then uric acid. So that morning, OJ can actually give your uric acid production a significant boost that lasts for hours. And lots of seniors make it worse without realizing it may be taking their morning pills with juice or having it alongside breakfast foods that are also maybe not ideal. It can lead to these daily mini flares, that little bit of stiffness or ache they don't connect to their breakfast routine.
Okay, what about exercise? We're always told, be more active, but can exercising too hard backfire with gout?
It can, surprisingly. Really high-intensity stuff, especially if you get dehydrated doing it, causes rapid cell breakdown. When cells break down quickly, they release their contents, including purines, into your system. Floodgates open. I've definitely seen people trigger severe attacks after starting a new, really intense workout plan or just pushing way too hard too fast and exercising in the heat without drinking enough. That's extra risky. Sweating concentrates your blood, making it harder for kidneys to clear uric acid, while the exercise itself is making more. The sad thing is, sometimes this experience makes people give up exercise entirely, which is bad for their overall health and actually makes managing gout harder long term.
That's a tough balance. Okay, back to medications for a second. That landscape for seniors seems really tricky.
It really requires awareness. So many common prescriptions for people over 60 can quietly push up uric acid. Diuretics, water pills, often used for blood pressure. They basically tell your kidneys to dump water but hold on to uric acid. Levels can double in weeks sometimes. Low-dose aspirin. Great for heart health for many, but at those common doses, it can actually interfere with uric acid excretion. And even specific blood pressure meds, like ACE inhibitors and beta blockers, some of those can raise uric acid too. And the effect might creep up over months, so it's hard for people to connect the dots themselves.
It's amazing how many different angles there are. What about just stress, day-to-day stress?
Well, chronic stress is a big one. Constantly worrying money, health, family, whatever, can keep your body in this low-level state of inflammation. That alone can make gout attacks more likely, maybe more severe. Plus, when we're stressed, what do we often reach for? Comfort foods, right? Which might be high in purines or sugar. And stress can also suppress your immune system's efficiency, meaning if an attack does start, it might last longer and do more damage because your body's struggling to resolve the inflammation.
And hydration, again, you mentioned thirst diminishes. It sounds like this mild dehydration is maybe more widespread than we think in older adults.
It truly is. Probably one of the most underestimated factors for gout in seniors. That thirst signal just isn't as strong sometimes. And kidney efficiency might decrease slightly too. So many seniors are just chronically a bit low on fluids without realizing it. And remember, dehydration concentrates your blood harder for kidneys to filter uric acid. It concentrates your urine better environment for crystals to form. But here's an encouraging stat. Just increasing water intake by about 16 ounces a day, that's just 2 small glasses, can cut gout attack frequency by up to 40%. Simple but powerful, yet many seniors drink far less than they need.
40% just from a bit more water. That's incredible. What about sleep? How does that fit in?
Poor sleep, another huge factor. Over half of seniors report sleep problems. Deep sleep is actually when your body does a lot of its uric acid processing and elimination. If you're not getting enough quality sleep, that process gets hindered. Plus, lack of sleep ramps up stress hormones like cortisol, which can worsen inflammation and mess with uric acid excretion. It also often leads to cravings for sugary, high-purine foods and makes you less likely to feel like being active. And then, the real kicker. Gout pain itself wakes you up, disrupts sleep, so you get this awful cycle. Bad sleep makes gout worse, gout pain makes sleep worse. Round and round.
And even social connection, or lack thereof.
Absolutely. Social isolation can be a real accelerator, sadly. Lots of reasons seniors become isolated, mobility issues, can't drive anymore, health declines. And we know isolation is linked to more stress, more depression. Both of those fan the flames of inflammation and can trigger gout attacks. Plus, people who are isolated often don't eat as well. More reliance on easy processed foods, maybe less fresh stuff. Eating patterns can get erratic too, skipping meals, binge eating. That can also trigger attacks.
Wow. Even the weather, seriously.
Yeah, even the weather. Cold temperatures can constrict blood vessels, especially in the extremities like toes. Less blood flow might make it easier for crystals to precipitate out in those cooler joints. Sudden big drops in barometric pressure, like before a storm. Some people swear that triggers them. Hot weather obviously increases dehydration risk. Even just big temperature shifts from going between strong AC and outside heat or intense heating systems can put stress on your body's systems. But the main thing to grasp here is, none of these things work in isolation usually. It's the combination: diet, habits, meds, stress, environment. They all pile on top of each other, compounding the problem, making gout harder to manage.
Okay, this has been an incredibly thorough deep dive. It's crystal clear, no pun intended, that gout is way more complex and impactful than most people realize. But you talked about an emergency action plan for gout freedom. How can people listening start taking control today?
Okay, everyone listening, we've covered some heavy ground, I know, but please feel empowered by this. Your body wants to heal. It has an amazing ability to do so. You can absolutely start making changes right now. Let's talk about an immediate, 48-hour emergency plan. First step, touted 3 big triggers. Cut out all fruit juices and sugary drinks completely. Avoid organ meats and those high-purine seafoods we talked about. And if alcohol is a regular thing for you, seriously consider a 30-day break. Just hit reset on your system.
Okay, those seem like really potent first steps, doable. What else for immediate impact? Second, hydration, hydration, hydration. Make it a priority. Aim for at least 8 to 10 glasses of plain, clean water every day, minimum. And a little tip. Adding a squeeze of fresh lemon juice can help. It helps alkalize your system a bit, which supports uric acid elimination. Remember that stat. Just that simple change could cut attack frequency by up to 40%. Third, bring in the anti-inflammatory good guys. Tart cherries, or tart cherry juice. They have compounds called anthocyanins, powerful stuff. Studies suggest they can significantly lower uric acid inflammation, potentially cutting attacks in half. Also, load up on colorful veggies, especially leafy greens. They provide nutrients that support kidney function and help balance your body's pH.
Okay, powerful immediate actions. What about shifting gears for the long haul? A sustainable transformation. Right, for long-term change, think gentle, consistent movement. That's key. Things like walking, swimming, tai chi. They boost circulation, help with weight management, and aid uric acid removal without causing that massive cellular breakdown that super intense exercise can. And just as important, build a stress management practice. Something that works for you. Maybe it's meditation, maybe prayer, maybe just spending quiet time in nature, or making sure you connect meaningfully with loved ones. Remember how much chronic stress fuels gout. Managing it is one of the most powerful levers you can pull.
And that connection piece, having support, seems so vital.
Absolutely crucial. You don't have to do this alone. Find others who get it. Support groups, online communities, and maybe consider working with someone like an integrative healthcare practitioner, a nutritionist, or even a traditional medicine expert who looks at the whole picture, addressing root causes, not just symptoms. Think about it this way. This isn't just about you. It's about building a legacy of health. The choices you make inspire vitality and wisdom for your family, for those you care about. Nourishing food, managing stress, staying active. You're cultivating a life with more freedom, more health.
This deep dive has really shone a light on all the different sides of gout. The food, the hidden habits, the serious complications. It's so clear that you, the listener, have significant power here to protect your health.
Please remember this final thought. The choices you make starting today, they don't just decide how you feel tomorrow, they shape how you age. They influence how long you live, and crucially, the quality of those years. Your joints, yes, but also your kidneys, your heart, even your family. They're all counting on the decisions you make right now. Make them count.